Okay, hello and welcome back to the next lecture. And in this one, we are going to generate a kind of a testing random number where we are going to cycle it from 0 to 2 or from 1 to 3 and so on. And this way we are going to test our randomness, how to generate a random fact. And I want also to mention that we are going to have 3 total facts, engineering facts. And basically, again, in this lecture, we are going to kind of randomize a random number. And as you probably know, in programming, a sequence starts not from like 1 but from 0. So we are going to try it and cycle it from 0 to 2 once our button was clicked. Okay, so this is pretty easy to understand, and I'm going to show you how to do this in Android and in this Java project, basically in Java. Okay, so the first thing what we want to do is to kind of delete this testing kind of hardcore the text, assign to test fact, and just delete it. And now, as we see, we got an error, which means variable test fact might not have been initialized. And in this case, we probably want to have some kind of starting point for this text, and we want to make at least something to kind of remove this error to not distract us and just have something to start with. Okay, so go to test fact and write down equals and just go to test fact and just write those 2 quotes, double quotes. This basically means we are going to have some kind of empty string, okay, so we don't see that error we saw before. Okay, now what we are going to do is to create a random object. And what this random object is just a kind of... Okay, next what we want to do is to generate kind of a random object. In Java, a random object is an object which basically it's an instance of this particular class which is used to generate a stream of pseudo-random numbers. So we are going to cycle from kind of 0 to 2 or from 1 to 3, and in our case we are going to start with a 0, okay? So now go to next line below string test fact variable and type in random and call it just a random equal sign new. We're creating a new instance of the random object and just name it random. And I think we need to import. No, everything was imported automatically by the Java. Yes, right here. Okay, so we just created a kind of, we can actually write some kind of comment to make it even clearer for us. Instance of the object. Okay, now go to the next line and we are going to now kindly use this random object, use this random kind of variable random in order to generate a random number to cycle to 3 numbers, three total numbers. And now we are going to assign it to variable in order to use it kinda in the later kind of in next lines and so on. We want to use it more than once. So in this case we want to just assign it to integer variable and call it like random number. And equal sign, and now we are going to use our random object called a random and dot next int. And inside the next int, we can write kind of a integer value of 3 to generate values to 3, to 1 to 3, and just a 3 variable numbers. So it's going to be from 0 to 2 in our case. Okay, and finally we want to kind of print that in our fact label, and now we want to kind of override that empty test fact variable of string test fact variable to our random number. Okay, so write test fact and equals to random number and semicolon. And we got some kind of errors which is saying incompatible type. Okay, so this basically means we have a test fact of string and we are assigning our string to a random to a number, which is not true, which is true, but we don't need that. We want to kind of like convert that random number to a string. So there are a couple of ways to actually do this stuff, to do this kind of action, but we are going to press dot to string. But we are going to use kind of a cheaty way to generate a kind of to convert that random number to a string, just double quotes, which basically means our test fact is going to convert our random number to a string, and the plus sign means it's kind of assigning like in math numbers, and in Java programming language and in other languages as well, it's assigning. It basically also means assigning values to, in this case, a random number to a string, and in this case, string wins because it wins. Okay, so this is probably it in this case. We are setting our text in here to our label, and now we can try it and run our application and see what it got. And you probably already know what it's going to create. So once we press on the fact button, we are going to get a random number in our fact text view. As you can see, we are cycling from 0 to 2. Again, that is because in programming languages, sequences start with a 0, not with a 1. And this terminology will come handy in later lectures when we are going to use arrays to cycle through those facts. Kind of the similar way we are cycling with a numbers. Okay, so I will see you in the next lecture.